my friends, I've studied history. It's not hard to do. Tyrants do the same things over and over again. Their playbook's actually pretty small. And they call slavery different things, but it's basically the same thing. And we know that we're already deep into social engineering, the collapse of society. And I've been hammering it the last, 3-4 years. It's been really obvious. Obama's been in now for 6 years, that he is becoming a dictator. And I remember having Pastor David Manning on, Pastor James David Manning, 6-7 years ago when he's first talking about Obama. And he was saying, he's going to become a dictator. He's not going to leave. I tell you, he's pure evil. And I'm like, come on. He's just a front man to push their agenda. Presidents are puppets. Come on. Let's not. Come on. That's going to add to the division here. We need to, they're trying to sell him as the second coming of Christ and Abraham Lincoln all rolled into one, but it can't be that bad. And now I've got to say that Manning has been correct and I have been wrong in understating how bad Obama would be. Let me explain something. He put our military under NATO UN command, and when Congress threatened him and said this is unconstitutional and illegal, he sent them letters and had the Joint Chiefs testify belligerently that they get their orders from the UN and NATO. He played that audio. 3 separate hearings, House and Senate Armed Services Committees in the last 3 years, 3 times. He is shutting down, it's over 500 now. They're shutting down 500 more coal power plants that are totally clean, supply 50+% of our power. Well, they did. Now plants supply like 30-something. They're shutting us down. And then General Electric can scale up and make more money. They're exempt. That's martial law. He's legalizing all the illegals, basically. And this is in the news, by fiat, without even an order. He just tells them on the phone what to do. Like he's beyond Kim Jong-il of North Korea or Kim Jong-un. At least they'll even do a fake order on paper and put a fake stamp on it. He just says, hey, my word is God, God Emperor. He's now doing it with Obamacare. They're saying, yes, make him a dictator, he'll fix it. Now Democrats are saying, let's make him president for a 3rd term, or let's just suspend things, or let's just... And it's a whole bunch of areas, folks, and they've gotten away with Fast and Furious, the IRS persecuting Christians and gun groups and pro-lifers, and the FBI covering it up. And I mean, Benghazi and Fast and Furious, it goes on and on and on and on. And then I realized in Libya and invading Africa with UN armies that are just murdering people in mass, backed by Muslims and animists, killing Christians everywhere. I mean, if it's evil, they're doing it. They don't even do it for an interest now, except to further evil. Again, it's scary when you got corrupt boss hog politicians that do bad stuff for power, but when they're doing it, even though it's destroying Obama, even though it's making him be hated, they don't care because it is a mission to bankrupt America. Obamacare, all of it is on record to bring this country down. Now, the architect of it, Ezekiel Emanuel, admits it. So he joins us via phone to the bottom of the hour with a quick pop-in. I want to get him for a full hour soon via video Skype from his Atla TV studios there in Harlem, where he actually tries to preach a message that's going to get people out of the plantation that is socialism. And he feeds hundreds of children a day and others with their soup kitchens. And he joins us right now, so he's a really good guy. Pastor Manning, thank you for coming on with us today, sir.
Oh, Alex, thank you for having me today. Real joy.
Well,
real pleasure.
Thank you. I mean, you've got the floor for the little bit of time we've got. He is a dictator now. Now, the question is he making the office a dictatorship? Will he leave?
Well,
but
I think that we need to understand Obama in terms of modern dictatorship. Generally, when we think about dictators like Hitler, Mussolini, or Lenin, or others, we think about them using the military to deploy their policies and to keep people in control. Obama has found a way to use an economic, racial, and social policies as if the military. In other words, what Obama does with these policies of economics, with racism, which is the undergirding of his presidency, and then social issues, which are anti-Christian, anti-God, many of them very communist and very Marxist, is his new army. And so he's a modern dictator. We have to think about him in those terms.
Man, you really are smart. I mean, the way you crystallize things, that's it. Obama is the modern 2.0 dictator.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the next thing we need to begin to think about is what are we going to do about him? And in your opening piece, you stated that I stated 6 years ago that he would not leave office and that he would become a dictator. In fact, he came in as a dictator. What we need to think about now is how are we going to move him if we're going to save America? How are we going to get him out of office? Because he has such power over the courts, Alex. I mean, the very fact that Obamacare was approved by Judge Roberts indicates this man has power over the courts. Franklin Roosevelt tried to pack the courts so he could get his policies through. All Obama has to do is pick up the phone, and his policies are approved. So how are we going to get him out of office? What are we going to do? We can't rely upon the Republicans or the conservatives or whoever it is that is supposed to be opposing him, because they're not doing that. If we're going to save this nation and stop Obama from trashing it and doing what he wants to do with it, we have to start thinking about strategies and not relying upon the electoral system or the Republicans or the media, which is the other part of his government, to be able to save America.
Very well said. And I think we've got to communicate to people that it's a modern form of technocratic dictatorship. And I was thinking they were setting up dictatorial divisions and systems so that the office could be dictatorial. But they are acting like they don't care what we think now, and that they are trying to bring the country down and bankrupt it so that he can then pose as a savior. How do you expect him to try to stay in office? Because for the first time, I'm starting to think that may be the plan.
Well, I suspect that he's most probably going to have some sort of a false flag. I think he's going to need martial law. He's going to need the military in order to be able to stay in office. And there's no telling what he'll do in terms of some sort of a false flag that he'll create. Maybe a crisis within America, some sort of a possible racial crisis. While I don't think that might be it. On the other hand, Alex, the thing that we have to be very mindful is that there are a large number of Americans who are ready now to revolt, and they very well may give him what he wants. On the other hand, we need a revolution in this nation.
So we want it to be like Lexington or Concord. We want to work to not let it get physical and win the info war, the war of ideas. But if they start stuff, I think we should be more, Christ-like and at key points.
Well, I'm not so sure we should be so Christ-like. Unless we're going to be the Christ of the sword that I preach for the most part. I think.
Well, let me just finish the statement. Let me just finish the statement so you know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I'm saying we have to wait for the right time to where it morally they fire first, and then we have the moral high ground. We don't want them to trick us into something preemptive. The problem is they'll blow up another federal building like OKC, the same attorney general was deputy then, clearly involved, to then blame it on the liberty movement. So I understand that we may have to defend ourselves. My problem is that they may blow something up and blame it on us. So the last thing we want to do is offensively do anything. Go ahead.
Well, you definitely don't want that to happen. You don't want them to blame us on 9/11 or some other event or the Oklahoma event. That we don't want to have happen. What we also have to think about, Alex, is that Obama controls the economy. He controls Wall Street. So we're going to need economic power, not just military power or revolutionary power. We need economic power, and that's the thing that we're lacking most in. I mean, all of America is armed to the teeth. There are people all over America that are ready to rise up if they have to save this nation. Not because they're belligerent, not because they hate the nation, not because they're just warmongering, but they realize that we need to be able to save this nation militarily. But the problem is this, is that we don't have the kind of economic power or the media power to be able to withstand a Obama attack, which is what he's doing now. So how do we get that together? How do we do that is the question.
I think you're right. People better support alternative real media like never before, whether it's what you're doing at Atla, and we're going to give that site out in just a moment, and we'll put it up on screen, or InfoWars or Drudge or any of the sites. In fact, Richard, will you scroll down so I can put his site up on air for folks? It's atla.org, atlah.org. It's an excellent site. We need to do that. I think we need to just get the word out. But I'll tell you this. I was talking to an Army officer just yesterday. I'll just leave it at that. And he said 98% of the military knows what's going on now. Now, just 6 months ago, he said it was about 80%. He said 98% know that there's an attempt to overthrow the country and to bring in tyranny. And I think we need to get the word out that we're not alone and that but we're not connected because we don't have the media. And we don't have the financial system, so it's really a bizarre situation, almost like a Mexican standoff.
Well, I think we're going to have to attack the media as the first line of Obama defense. The media serves as his pawns or as his bishops. We're going to have to go after the media. We're going to have to support media like you, and I'm just not patronizing you, Alex, but we're going to have to begin to listen to sources like you and other sources that are out there. But we're going to have to attack as the first line of defense all of the media, whether it's conservative or liberal media. They all do the exact same thing. And when we can bring them down, we can stop the disinformation campaign. Because people are sitting there in their comfortable chairs, listen to Fox News, thinking that somehow or another Mitt Romney or somebody else is going to overthrow Obama and we're going to get America back. We've got to take down that part of Obama's process.
I agree.
We have got to attack him, and then we can go after him economically.
No, you're right. It's the idea of the loyal opposition when those guys are all part of the same power structure and they're also scared. I mean, those big people, it's really hard for people that are already part of the system to stand up. But look at how they're going after Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. You can always tell who's real by who they attack.
You absolutely can. And I think that if we began to work on that strategy and look at how the politicians are attacked and look at what Fox News does or what the liberal or what MSNBC does, if we began to consider that if we're going to have a revolution, let's do it the way Obama has taken the nation. He has taken
Stay there. Yeah, this is intriguing. Pastor Manning, amazing. This is a short segment. And then we have Pastor James David Manning joining us for part of the next, and we have a bunch of big news I've got to get to. But I tell you, if I lived in Harlem, I know whose church I'd be going to. If we had more preachers in this country like Pastor Manning, we would not be in the shape we are. People have just become so complacent, they've got to find their spirit of resistance before things really go to hell in a handbasket, because Homeland Security, all of these top generals and colonels at the Navy War College, the Army War College, you name it, West Point, we have links to it up on Infowars.com, are saying, we're preparing for war with gun owners. We're going to come after you. We will take your gun from your cold, dead hand. And the military's totally waking up because they're being told, prepare for war with America. So I think they've miscalculated. I mean, the military is not afraid to go to war. And, I mean, the military people I know that are multi-generation military are the most honorable, including people in my family. And let me tell you, they're not looking for a fight, folks. They're very sad about everything. But now the resolve is beginning to be, okay, it's going to be a civil war. I just feel sorry for the police and all the idiots that are going to be part of the New World Order who want to have this civil war. I mean, look at this headline. Colonel who vowed to disarm Americans works with Homeland Security. He teaches at West Point. And it says, oath-violating colonel also made veiled death threats against bloggers. Well, my goodness, if you read his article in Esquire, it sounds like a little kid. Like, oh, yeah, we'll kill you. We got the Army. We're big. We're tough. I mean, this is obviously somebody who I don't think seen a lot of combat, or he's nuts. Because all the combat vets I know, and I mean special forces people, I mean people that have been in 28 years and seen stuff, I mean, just unbelievable. They would never. I mean, I know people that, you know, that have worked in and around the boys from Virginia, and I don't mean the CIA. The Virginia boys are like plainclothes military above Delta Force. And all I can, Pastor Manning, I've got you here to talk. We got 4 minutes till break. I'm going to shut up. You hear what I'm saying. This is getting so bad. Do you think Obama's bit off more than he can chew, or do you think that this is part of the plan?
Oh, absolutely not. He has not bit off more than he can chew. And I think his plan is in place and working right now perfectly. The problem is that we've got to deal with is that we're in the game very late. And if there is a military coup, I know there are many generals and people within the military who recognize what's happening to this nation and would love to be able to save it. But I don't think they're going to get the kind of support that they need in order to be able to do it. And I don't think that a coup in the military would deliver us from the economic power that Obama is possessing. And there's another thing that we're not observing as well in terms of the social and racial issue. I'm becoming very concerned about Obama's alliance with Pope Francis. I'm very concerned about them walking along the same social, if you will, liberal path that destroys the integrity of the Word of God and puts these two powers together. Alex, I'm very concerned about that and whether a military response can handle where we are right now.